in the thousands to see the boys become champions. Oh, 67, and then he's a Westman. The first game in the thousands to see the boys become champions.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Celtic Rumours TV, episode number 173, a Bawz and Bovril podcast with myself, Mark, Big Jerry's ways of night. Evening, Jerry boy.
Evening, Marco. How we doing, mate?
I'm all good. How are you?
You know it, living the dream now, living the dream.
Aye, as always.
Yep.
I think Terence is maybe coming on and Mikey might be coming on as well tonight, so we'll see. I'll just play it beer if anybody else wants to come on. I'll put out the link once I'm finished. Do a few shout outs to some of the lads for the forum and that. Forums at www.celticrumours.co.uk. Some of the lads for there, Paul and his wife Veronica, Tim Alloy, a Glasgow Green, Malika, Big Jabber, Welshie, Mikey, Buzz, and a bit of sad news. Richie, that I usually give a shout out at the beginning of the show, and that, well, sadly Richie passed away on Monday there. After a long fight with cancer, man. So rest easy, Richie, mate. You were a good friend to me and you fought it hard to the end. He's got joke there. Who have we got here? Bobby was on right away. Evening, Bobby. Your turns in the chat. Red Scotland, nice to see you again, Red Scotland, mate. Thanks for coming in. Grot Bags, nice to see you. Liam Doyle, Brian, Smell the Glove, thanks for coming in, lads. Patrick McLaughlin, McMullina, Davy Gallagher, Chris Curtis, hail, thanks for coming in. Sean Bust, Gaming Guy, Henky Moravchik, Kenneth Arthur, thanks very much again for coming in, lads. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoy what we're doing. If you're not subscribed, please do, and if you know how, leave a wee comment because it helps us build up the algorithm thing and that, so that would be a wee favour for us. Oh, what about that game today, Jerry?
Well, first I'll just hope we say...
wait a minute, by the way, I forgot. Sorry, right, that was a bit of bad news there about Richie and that, but I've actually forgot. I got a bit of good news. Big Jerry get married on Friday.
Aye, I was about to say thanks to everybody, especially yourself and Jack for the well wishes and everything you've done. Thanks, it's appreciated, Mark. And the rest of the boys that were on the Discord, thanks very much for all the well wishing. And obviously RIP to Richie and his family. I know you kept in touch with quite a lot, Mark, and I was gutted to hear that from him on Monday. So no, but thanks for everything. Thank you, Mark.
No bother. That's him. I tasked him the day. I messaged him and says, have you asked Heather if you're allowed to do a podcast with you tonight? He thinks everything's all the same. That Terence will tell you there, Terence, now you're married. It's changed days now, Terence, isn't it?
You're fucked. You're fucked.
You know, tell me this last week.
Whatever life you had beforehand, that's now gone.
Oh well, it was virtually non-existent. So it's Big Jabber had his way to be a civil partnership anyway. So I'm fortunate in some ways.
So you came Terence, you've not been on for a couple of weeks. Everything all right with you, bud?
Yeah, all good now, Mark. All good. Tipping away, you know yourself now. All good. Just obviously want to, the same as yourself, Mark, just reiterate what you said there, obviously, to Richie's family and friends, obviously, very, very sad news. You'd see his name a lot in the forum and stuff like that, so it's just very, very sad news, and just want to pass on my condolences, obviously, to his family and friends, and obviously at the same time, congratulations to Jerry as well. So,
thanks, Ter, and thanks everybody else. It's appreciated.
I'll just give some more shout-outs before we get into the game for people that have just come in there. Kenny Arthur, nice to see you, mate. I don't think I mentioned you. Bobby, 1962. Liam Doyle. Thanks for coming in, lads. Hail, hail, brothers. Right, well, back just to what I was saying there, Jerry. What did you make of the game today? Jerry. Terence, are you there?
Aye.
Well, why don't you say something then at the start of the
I know. Wait, quite. I'm no problem. It was we made it difficult for ourselves today. I thought the first half at times we kind of huffed and puffed and never got too far and never got anywhere. They put us under a bit of pressure, and I was texting you during the game, Mark. I thought Mikey, I think, had said it previously about Dundee have actually some decent players, and their captain made it really difficult for the centre of the park for Brown, for McGregor, and it kind of nullified McGregor's input in the game. But I know Big Jabber thought that was a fantastic Bergkamp touch for Kyogo for the goal, but it was. I think me man tried to palm it off as if he meant it, but there's no chance he meant that. And it was a wonderful finish from Forrest. It took the sting out of the game just because they were starting to get a wee bit of a foothold in it. When we're playing more into their hands than anything else. Kyogo gets a wonderful goal. Goal is a wonderful touch that wasn't meant to Forrest, and what a strike. Jamesy pops up at the end, gets the goal. Fantastic, takes a bit of pressure off us. But as I say, I thought we were the first half anyway. I thought we weren't creating too much. We were trying to, the middle of the park. The game was kind of stifled. Johnson was coming inside at times as well, and for me there was too many in the middle of that park, and it was creating more problems than anything for us. But I don't know. What about yourself for the first half there? What do you think?
They looked like a very nervous team. They looked like no one wanted to grasp it by the, you know what, as I'd say. They looked very, very nervous, and it was very slow, very passive. They were very slow to commit kind of players forward, and we're always worried about going backwards, you know what I mean? I know I'm going to be one of the few, but I just don't. There's something not right with McGregor. You know, he's miles off it.
We looked a lot better when Awata came on.
Yeah, but they have all along, though, Jerry. They have all along, and I know McGregor's been changed, come back because he's the captain, but I don't see any justification for bringing him back in at the minute because he's not. He's off it. He's off it. He's not the McGregor role is the first name on the team sheet. But he's not playing the CDM role well, and he's not doing an awful lot during the game for me. Like a while I came on, you feel a bit more secure defensively. He broke up play. He was linking up a bit better for me. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, they got away with a win in a very, very nervous, you know, kind of cautious performance for me. But the main thing is they got 3 points.
Yep.
I mean, to be fair to Dundee, I thought Dundee stuck to their job well. I mean, they played the same kind of tactics against Rangers, and it just stifled them. You know what I mean? They're kind of man marking and they're pressing that is bang on at times. It really is. So.
Yeah.
Again, we should be better than that. And see people that are coming up with, McGregor, he's no fit in that. This isn't. That's it. Maybe he's no fit, and it's just maybe even highlighting it more. But Callum McGregor for the last 18 months has been poor, and for this season, for the start of this season, McGregor's been half the player that we know that he can be.
Well, why is he starting, Mac?
I know. I'm just going to say that. Is it just because his name's Callum McGregor and he's a captain, he gets put straight back in?
I think so. Yeah.
That's wrong for me. And I said it in the live chat as well. The balance in the team. was night and day. The actual balance in the team, we were still a bit patchy in that playing the centre, but the balance in the team, having a player like a Watt in there rather than McGregor, is night and day for me.
Yep.
I mean,
the thing about it, Mark, is the thing about it is, sorry, Jerry. The thing about it is, if it wasn't Callum McGregor that Awad was replacing, would have Awad have been dropped off the team a couple of weeks ago? And the answer to that is no. He wouldn't have been taken out of the team if it wasn't McGregor.
Yep.
You know, and that's on the manager. On form, and that's what it should be. If somebody you shoot at Northampton, you shoot the whole after he's got well soon Northampton,
Hail. Aye, the boy looked McCown rather, that was the Dundee captain. He was never more than 4 or 5 yards away from Brown the whole game. But we made things Dundee, you can't take it away from. They worked hard. They stuck to their job. They made it difficult for us. But that's when you're looking for our kind of. We need to pass the ball earlier to beat that. See, taking 2, 3, 4 touches, it allows them to come in and try and get the ball off you. That's where we've got to get the ball down a wee bit quicker, a wee bit more direct. And I think that's what maybe helped us when Ida came on. I know the game was a wee bit more open and stretched, but I felt we played a bit better than before Kyogo was on. But as I say, you can't take it away from Dundee. They did do their job well, but we should have more in our locker than struggle to beat Dundee. But they are a decent side. They've got a few good players.
I mean, see that the boy we're talking about, was it McCowan he was called?
McCowan, number 17.
We talk about the young guy from Motherwell.
Yep.
Buy him and just let him sit at Motherwell for maybe a year or two. See that young boy, see that any time. I mean, I've not seen much of him. Me and Mikey spoke about him before. He's the day watching him today. He could play Celtic's midfield. I'm not saying he'd be a starting player for us, but he could be a squad player for Celtic for what we've got in that midfield.
To be fair to Mikey had said that the last time he was on. There was a couple of players that Dundee had. And I actually think I was going to text you to say, was it the captain he had mentioned the last time? Was a decent player. I mean, what happened to the young boy that we were all raving about? Owen Beck. What's happened with him? Is he injured or what? He was at Dundee, and he went back to Dundee after we played a game for Liverpool, and then I think he was going back to Dundee, but we're all quiet. No heard that.
He's injured. Owen Beck's injured and missing the run, and it just came out 3 days ago.
Aye.
But can you imagine, Mark, and I'm not saying you shouldn't go for those guys, but could you imagine the pelters that would come out if Celtic went to buy a Dundee player? And let me just say, he looks a really, really tidy player, and like there's proof been before with the likes of Hartley and Robson and Scott McDonald and Scott Brown, and there's many, many more, Jackie McNamara down the years and all the rest of them. But the modern day Celtic fan, majority of them is, if you went for him, they'd be, why are we going for that's the joke? Whereas if you went and bought a replacement from Bournemouth in the Premier League, there'd probably be no problem.
Mark said that for it, snobbery. That's exactly the reason about the likes of
20s. Smell the glove saying that McCowan's 26. I didn't think he was. I couldn't even have guessed. I thought he was just a young boy. That maybe put a bit. But again, I still think he could do as a turn in a like the SP. See, if they signed him, for me, you're saying maybe a player like your Greg Taylor or that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that, look how that's turned out. That's turned out like Greg Taylor's been an extremely solid player for Celtic. Do you know what I mean? I mean, he's done it. He's done it. I know people might say, "Oh, he's a bit ropey at this, he's a bit ropey at that," but he still produces performances after performances after performances when required. Like, you know, maybe he's not the top end fullback, but Celtic don't ever pay for the top end fullback.
See if Joe Hart wins the Player of the Year thing with this year. That's only really, in my opinion, only through being sentimental, the sentimentality, obviously because he's retiring and stuff like that. And Because for me, I mean, I voted for Greg Taylor because I think, I've stuck up from me through it 100 times. For me, he's been the most consistent player all season.
Yes, yeah. I know O'Reilly's kind of dipped a bit, but he has been very good. Now, how the hell? Sorry, and it's slightly off the point. How the hell Callum McGregor's in that list? I will never know. But however, that's another question.
Well, again, that's just because he's Callum McGregor and because he's the captain.
Yeah.
That was a decent enough point you made there, Turkish. When I was looking at the 5 nominations as well, I was thinking to myself, how the hell's McGregor on it? But as you've said, it's only because who he is. But we've said before January, it was O'Reilly was head and shoulders above everybody else. But since January, you could only really put it down to Taylor and Hart, and it's because a lot of them have been rotten as well. But a lot of
people voting will be like, I'm not voting for Greg Taylor.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because he just spent years being a whipping boy, and there's people out there that say, I can't vote for. I've given the guy pelters for years. I can't vote for Player of the Year, even though I think he deserves it. I really do.
But without a shadow of doubt, the one man you miss more than empty is Vickers. See, when Vickers is playing, that's I feel it's more than any other player. When the ball goes to that defence, when he's not in it, man, you're terrified. But when he's there, you've got a lot more confidence.
Yeah, when he's not
there, brutal last week, though.
When he's not there, you're terrified, and when he's there, you're just scared.
He was shot. I know Scales was hung out last week in the Aberdeen game, but my God, Carter Vickers was equally as bad. The whole back four were equally as bad. I thought they were all terrible in that semi-final, and I think Carter Vickers and to an extent McGregor, they kind of get a free ride when it comes to criticism. But I thought Carter Vickers last week had an absolute howler. To be honest, as much as Scales did as well, as much as Alistair Johnson did. I thought they were all very poor last week.
See, the sign of a bad player, though, is the player that doesn't learn from his mistakes. Every player will make mistakes in games, but it's the same. High ball between that back, left-hand side and left-back position. We're vulnerable all the time. Mate, Scales is horrendous. He had a good game today, but he's terrible for ball watching. He gets awful caught out and concerned where the ball is, rather worried about where his man is. And when you get a look ball into that box, I would fancy my chances against him. And I'm not being funny in the air, just a one-on-one for a header. I'd fancy my chances against him. It's for me, that back four. It's been ropey, but we really need a centre half brought in to be playing alongside Vickers in the summer. We can't do much about it the last few games. We don't want to go in these cases, but for me, I don't think Scales was man of the match for me today, but I think he makes it ropey for me. Too many touches and too much dilly-dallying for my liking with a centre half. But it's sorry for me, but I sit at the side of the park or watching the TV saying it. Different when out there and doing it.
Yeah. That's me a Begovic rumour. He must have about nearly 40 pushing through that Begovic, as you know.
What? Begovic? He retired yonks ago? No.
See, what would you do that day for going for a keeper? Because I think we spoke about this just maybe during the summer of that, we long terms maybe, but would you rather we went for a young, like a project type of keeper, like a Fraser Foster kind of signing that we made? Would you rather go for, like, we were meant to be trying to sign that Lavakovic that was kind of coming to his prime? We could have signed him, made some money off it in a few years maybe, or if not, would have been landed with a good keeper? Or would you rather that we did get down the route and just look at a top? I mean, people are saying, I can't see it ever happening, but people just gossip on Twitter about David De Gea still being available on a free and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? What would you rather we went for?
I'd rather an experienced guy, myself personally. I'd rather a guy that's like, you say what they want, but like the way Butlin was with United on the United bench. whether it's a Woodman or was linked with Celtic before, the Newcastle guy, or someone like that, some guy that's maybe second keeper or possibly third keeper, and look at that, and that's played a few games. For me, I'd just be wary of a kind of a novice, if you want to call it.
I mean, what would Jack Kelleher for Liverpool? What would you class him as?
I wouldn't go for him. He'd be to me. He's a novice, Mark, because he's playing games obviously now for Liverpool consistently because their keeper's out. But if he wasn't there, he wouldn't be getting a game. You know, I don't know. I'd rather even a championship keeper that maybe has played Premier League or something like that. I don't know, but I certainly wouldn't be liking
Angus Gunn.
Yeah, well, he's an experienced goalkeeper. You know what I mean? He's been around the block. He's a decent guy. You know, unless Celtic are going to break the bank, they're not going to get your top flight keeper.
I mean, that Angus Gunn's only 28. That's a good age as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, exactly. What is this? Look at again, not trying to compare, but Butland has been good for Rangers. He's been a good signing, unfortunately, and he would have been an ideal replacement for a Hart.
What age was Boric when he came here? 24, 25?
Yeah, say something like that, would he?
I don't think he was dead young or dead old. I think he was
so he had a decent bit of experience, though. I know he was playing in Poland, but he had a bit of experience playing at first team football and for a team at a decent level. I'd prefer, regardless, if you get a young keeper, you're expecting him, he's only going to be here for a couple of years. You get an older keeper, you're expecting him only to be here a couple of years. But the keepers we had previously been linked with, we'd all kind of said that they're a right good age. We were at 27, 28, and just hopefully just coming into their prime. But that's what we should be looking for. We shouldn't be looking for. Hart's done. We were blessed with the way Hart and even Gordon came in towards the end of their careers and done us a good job. The best keeper that's been there probably for me out the most since I started watching Celtic was Boric. I know it's maybe a bit cruel to Fraser Foster, but I don't know. They both had good sides and bad sides to them, but ideally, I mean, Forrester never wanted to be here. He was given his chance, so never wanted to come back. He wanted to try his luck down south. Boric was put in goals for 2 or 3 years at least, then went down south. So regardless of what route we want to go down, your potential in it only being a stopgap keeper if it's only here for a couple of seasons. But I'd be looking for somebody that's just going into their prime if it was up to me.
I'm saying, like that Likovic guy, and that would have been ideal for us, do you know what I mean? But he chose to go to Turkey and stuff like that. But I'd rather we went down the route of buying somebody that, as you said there, Jerry, just maybe coming into his prime, and he'll be maybe even here for 2 or 3 years, and then we could even sell him on as to make money off him.
Aye.
It's a position. It's a position. For as long as I can really remember, it's a position that Celtic's never really focused on the ball. I mean, we've probably just been a bit lucky with the likes of Boric and Foster. I mean, for me, Foster was a big, massive gamble.
Yep, of course.
Do you know what I mean? We were lucky that it paid off, but it could have just as easily went the other way. Going by somebody like Barkas that ticked all the boxes. We scouted him with everybody and ticked all the boxes. And it just did, well, it was that COVID season, you know what I mean? The guy was stuck in a hotel room for months before he even could start training with the Celtic team and that, but it just didn't work out. And he's away and doing well elsewhere.
Is there anyone in Scotland you think could do a job for Celtic? In goals?
No.
Butland?
No. Apart from him, he'll be down south. He's off ski, but apart from him,
no, I don't think so. But what about the big Aberdeen boy? I mean, is he on loan for an English team?
Lewis or something, was it? Aye, he is on loan. I can't remember.
I'm not saying get him in as like a number one, and obviously Aberdeen would take him again on loan even for number one. But I mean, we've spoken about it umpteen times. We need more than one keeper in the summer.
Yes, agreed. See,
I think the Ross County keeper's a fine keeper. That is it. Lawwell, is that his name? The Ross County guy. Is that his name, Lawwell?
It's easier for these keepers.
We can't bring in a goalkeeper called Lowell right up. Come on, Terence. We're not going to have a home early right away.
It's easier for these keepers to look good. They're under pressure all the time. The difference at Celtic, they maybe not be doing it for 15, 20 minutes, and then they've got they're forced to pull off a good save. Their concentration level have got to be spot on, and I've not seen anything from any of the keepers up here that would want is going to sign up to try and be a first team keeper here and make us progress. Apart from obviously Butland would have been a shout, but Mark, as you were saying, see, but keepers, I was looking at a boy who was born 83, he was picking his all time kind of order the players that he's seen since he came to Celtic. And Joe, it was since about the 80s, it's been easy. Boric and Big Foster are the only two keepers that's the only two keepers, standout keepers that we've had in that time. It's always been a weak point. As long as I've watched Celtic, we've never had apart from A2, we've always struggled for a keeper, but yet if you get across the road, it's one of the strongest positions they've been able to identify. They've had umpteen good keepers over the years, but for me, there's nobody I've seen in the Scottish football that I would say I would go and sign him and be confident that we go into Europe and progress with him between the sticks. There's no chance in that.
I think it's hard to judge a keeper when they're playing for, like, it's what you're saying there, Jerry, about the maybe a keeper at Celtic's only going to have 2 saves to make all game.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Things like that.
Siegrist and Bain looked half decent playing against us, and then they come here and it's a whole different ball game. But as you've said before, with like even the Bargas situation, there's a whole lot more that goes into it. The pressure and all the rest of it. And, you're under week in, week out, when a Celtic keeper's unreal. One mistake, and you get everybody on their back. I mean, it's the confidence thing as well is massive. I mean, look at Bargas. I think I just don't think he could handle it. I know that sometimes players sign for clubs and it doesn't work out for a number of reasons, and they go elsewhere and they do fine. But the pressure and everything else, I think you've got to be a big personality with the first choice keeper here.
That Onana, that boy in Man United saying he is dog shite him and on. Evening, by the way, mate, nice to see you. He Doc as well, nice to see you, mate. But that's unbelievable, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Gaelic, I mean, that the game was in something like 350 grand a week on him when he left them.
Aye. He's not playing now. I just don't fathom out how he can go for getting paid 300 grand a week with them and playing first team football every week he can't get a team. I mean, surely to God it can't with the wages side, because you'd rather be playing for next to nothing than no playing at all.
You think so? I saw a video on Twitter the other day that he's still doing he's still training away as if he is playing with a team, but he's not just playing any games.
He train as much as he wants. It's the games that make him sharp and better.
That's it.
It could be a case though as well that a guy like him would say. It could be a case that a guy like him is going, I'll take a pay cut, but a pay cut to him might be he'll do it for 100 grand. Do you know what I mean?
I was actually surprised that some Saudi team didn't nip in and just like sign him. I mean, even if he was chasing money, surely one of the Saudi teams would have given him a deal for even a year and giving him stupid money just to get his name out in that league and stuff.
Aye. Yep.
It's a weird gene.
I think he's a better keeper than that, Onana.
He can't be worse anyway.
Exactly, that's what I think. I mean, he's that Onana's horrendous. But that's the way modern football. They're all looking for him to be better with the ball at their feet than the job they can do with their hands. Which I'm a wee bit backward. I'm looking for my keeper to be making saves rather than playing
same as you, Jerry.
passes.
There's a reason they're in goals.
Exactly, that's it.
I saw an advert. I seen a picture on Twitter and it was an advert took off Facebook, and think it was an under-17 looking for a goalkeeper. But he must be an under-17, and it says he must be comfortable on the ball, be able to play it out for the back.
It's frightening, isn't it? What about the picture of my mate that's a keeper for the Drum that I sent you yesterday, Marco?
He's banger hanging out. What was it they won?
No, I think they're into another final. It's a Drum.
Is that what it was?
So I think they're into another final. They're a decent team. He was a cracking keeper back in the day. But either you've got to be a bit batty to be a keeper.
Oh, aye. Most keepers are a bit crazy, aren't they?
Aye. Yep. Wouldn't mind another Higuita here. What about him? Or Michael Weber-Chila there. Wouldn't mind one of the keepers, a keeper that can take a penalty and score.
Aye. That was shocking, that last week.
Aye.
I mean, I said that. For me, that was arrogance. That shouldn't have been allowed. Brendan Rodgers shouldn't have allowed that.
You don't know who
he wouldn't have been taking that penalty if he was leaving.
I think he was a bit of that. Aye,
100% that. If he wasn't leaving, there's no way he'd been taking the penalty. And it was a ludicrous decision to allow him to take it.
Especially who was it came up and hit the ones after him? Was it AJ and Awata?
Awata's penalty was fantastic. Like,
Aye, Awata was a cracking penalty. There's so a couple of people have put this in the chat, Mark. Danny Ward will be here in the summer.
Was that him? It was Aberdeen on loan for a while.
I think you're right. It's been on the chat a couple of times now. I think it's Henke and I don't know if it was Plunge.
Is that the Leicester fella, is it?
What's that, sorry?
Is he Leicester? No?
Aye, that seems to be new terms, aye. Aye, he was in Aberdeen at loan back 2015 to 16.
Aye.
Was it? Aye, it was Liverpool, then he went to Aberdeen on loan. He was a decent keeper. I don't know what he's like now, but he's 31 in June. How's that kind of?
He's on a free, I think, as well, isn't he?
Oh,
I think he's on a free. I think.
Do you remember? I think Moravchik, Henke Moravchik said they hated Boric's penalty against Dundee United. Was that the one that was like 13-12? It went right back round.
It was, yeah.
Keepers
go for penalties.
Wild.
Yeah, but look, that penalty last week was crazy.
Ward and Madison were known for Leicester to Aberdeen. That's right.
They done not too bad.
Oof. What's all these names? Some of these people are talking about, I've not even heard of them. You can make you on here.
I couldn't even kid on it. I knew who half these people were.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was trying to say earlier on, Jerry. It's see, unless you're watching a keeper every week, I think it's hard to judge whether they're a decent keeper or no.
Mm-hmm. Aye.
You know what I mean?
Till and the Celtic goal, Mark, we'll never know.
Aye. It's like you watch it's like, I mean, I used to call it match of the day fever. So before him, somebody would score a cracking goal on the telly, some game that somebody was watching, what about this guy in that? You know, I can't go where you read about guys banging in goals, but when it comes to a goalkeeper, unless you're actually watching games all the time, I think it's really, really hard to judge how good a goalkeeper somebody's going to be for you.
Yep.
Definitely, yeah.
That puts it Vandervoort.
Vestergaard, was it? Aye, as you say, it's difficult to try and judge a keeper. I mean, that Stevie Woods won it, had a lot of input and was going to watch keepers when Barkas came in.
Aye.
And I think he was his pick. And we were shelling out $4 million for a keeper, Walker. I thought he was the right size and all the rest of it, right kind of right age. I think we all thought we were going to get a right good keeper here. And he was like a rabbit in the headlights, but I know you've kept saying it. He's went over to Holland and he seems to be doing well. But
it just wasn't for him.
That's just one of the moves that just didn't work out.
You know, we could say the
Terrible
same
season
about
to be
Yeti.
coming anywhere.
You know, Yeti's the same kind of thing. You know what I mean? 5 million for him. You think coming from West Ham, oh God, Premier League, and he was hopeless. You know, and then you look at Moravcik, 300,000 and people were going, oh, this is a waste of money for a 30-odd-year-old, and he was sensational. You know, it's just sometimes the big money move doesn't always work out. Well, the 4 or 5 million one doesn't always work out for Celtic, you know.
Aye.
They've put James McGrory senior massive pressure on Rodgers to get a recruitment rate in the summer as the buck stops at him this time for signing his fall like this season.
I don't agree with that.
Well,
I don't necessarily agree with that now, to be honest, because how much say did Rodgers have in signings? He couldn't have signed some of those players.
Well, see the thing about it, I mean, what we've kind of learned behind sight is that it was players that were scouted for Ange and through Mark Will and stuff like that and blah, blah, blah. But I said this on the forum the other night, so when they were talking about it, oh, we need head of recruitment or he'd scout or that, what we were actually doing. And I'm like, well, I'm hoping that we're looking and even talking to agents and clubs about players that we don't need to scout. Do you get what I mean by that? Players that Brendan Rodgers
that should be done now anyway, Mark.
But there's players out there, Terence, you don't need to scout them. You don't need to go looking for them. You know what I mean? It's players that Brendan Rodgers maybe knows all about, knows that he'll be a good job for Celtic. So they don't need to go away and scout them because everybody knows about them. We've all heard about them. Do you get what I mean by that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the scouting team for me is to find you like your Matt O'Reillys. Do you know what I mean? They kind of wee hidden gem for me. That's what your scouting team should be looking into. But there's got to be players out there that Rodgers knows. I want him. I want him in the summer, and I want him in January. He's going to get him this summer if we can. And that's fair dues.
At the same time, Mark, it's a very fair point. But the club, they need to kind of loosen the purse strings a little bit as well. You know, you can't keep buying a £2 million player every time it's a player to be signed.
No. I mean, there was something leaked that it was meant to be Mark Wilson gave a list of kind of parameters of who to look for. It was this and that, and they don't have so much wages a week. No, I don't know if it was real or no, but no, we've spoken about it umpteen times. You've got to loosen the purse strings and bring in at a higher level, a couple of high level players just to improve the overall quality of the squad.
Yeah, 100%.
There's Henke made a decent point there. Rodgers is a development coach, not a manager who identifies players. What do you think of that, Mark?
Well, Scott Sinclair.
I will. He's mocking a new about him. The chips were down for him. That's who got beer. But I think Rodgers has said previously when he was here that's his passion, getting a player, kind of developing them and bringing them on. I think that's what he likes to see. Bring the player on, work these kind of weaker stuff, polish them up and move them on. And look, if we could do that with a keeper out of no qualms, find a keeper, any player, to be honest, we get a player, get 2 or 3 right good seasons out and sell them on for a hefty fee, then I've no qualms for that. That's ideal. That's the business model we need to get out to kind of survive and compete in Europe. But I don't know, keeper-wise.
Depends what he means by identifying players. I mean, I know it's not his job to go out and look for players and scout players and be away watching under 19 games for some team just to, you know what I mean, to scout a player, looking for a player. But Rodgers has got to, he knows enough about football to be able to say, look, I like him as a player, he would be a really good signing for us. I mean, a manager's got an input into signings. He needs to have some kind of input into the signings.
Of course.
And we end up in the situation that we're in.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Rodgers was at that investment meeting the other week and last week, whatever it was, and he dropped in that Maeda was back in training. And there's a few things that's come out that's true, and other things he said was things like Lagerbielke was just never good enough. Palmer's no get Palmer's not get the tools and he's not get what he's looking for in a wide player. Narowski never fit. He's not just name it about the coaches and the fitness team. David Narowski's never 100% fit. So it's that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So there right away, Rodgers would have identified like Palmer, looking at him and saying, he's not going to fit into my team. He's not get the skill set I need to play the game the way I want it to be played.
I know it was an investors thing.
Aye.
But do you think that's wise for a manager to come out and when you're in a title race with some crunch games coming up to say things like that about squad players you're going to be relying on within the squad? Because I know if I was Palmer, I'm not going to be over the moon hearing that he doesn't think I've got the tools to be a fit with players. All credit to him the day when he came on. He worked his socks off. He done well when he came on. But some players are maybe going to spit the dummy when you hear stuff like that.
But maybe he's telling that to his face already. Maybe there's none that he's not said to Palmer and that to his face. Look, I like you. You're a nice young man. You're trying your best. You're running your ass off out there, but you've got skills. You're a good, decent enough player, but you're just no go what I'm looking for in a winger long term. Because sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
But did you think today? Sorry, Mark.
No, on you go, Terms. No.
I was just going to say on that point. But did you think today, Jerry, when Palma came on? For me, he worked an awful lot more hard than I've ever seen him work. He tracked back, he tackled. Yep. Maybe it was the kick in the arse that he needed by Rodgers going, listen, I don't think you have what it takes. And he's going, well, I proved to you I have what it takes. I don't mind the Largy Bielka and Rocky one because the two boys seem to be, one's a sick note and the other one obviously he just doesn't think is good enough. I don't have a problem with him saying that. But it may have been a case to Palma to kind of go, well, I'll say this to him and see what kind of reaction I get out of him. Whereas deep down, Rodgers might think he's a decent player, but maybe he thinks I need a lot more from him. Maybe saying this, I'll get a reaction out of him. I don't know.
He'll be a better judge of the guy's character than any of us on here. Well, he'll maybe know how to get a reaction out of him or not. And fair dues if that was his intentions. It seemed to work today, but as you said, he's tracked back, worked a lot harder than he has done for a while. Because, as I say, he came on when he first came, he started off kind of well. Started off, just slotted right in there and done well, then he fell away, got injured and all the rest of it. And he came back and he's not looked the greatest. It does take a wee bit of time to get back up to speed. But as I say, he came on the day, and I thought, here we go. And he was fine, he done well, tracked back, worked hard, was unlucky. I thought when he had that pop at goal, it was getting in, but it was a wee bit wide. But no, he done really well when he came on. And if that was Rodgers' intentions, then fair play. Hopefully it continues.
You've got to think sorry, before you go. Well, I was just going to say, you've got to think as well, but that Rodgers is sitting talking to his investors, and he's maybe looking for a wee bit of trust that all this stuff's not actually going to get out. You know what I mean? It's not as if he's sitting there with guys like us that can't wait to come home and tell our mates, oh, we were sitting with Brendan Rodgers, they tell us this, they tell us that, do you know what I mean?
Aye, no, yeah. I granted, I can understand that, but the way the modern world nowadays, it's very, very rare that all these things are going to remain behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes a player or a person needs an arm around them, and another player needs to kick up the arse.
Right.
Yep.
And that's a good man manager terms. The guy that knows what the players are needing, whether it is to put up that a wee arm round their shoulder, what's up with you, son, in that kind of pattern.
Yep.
Yeah. This is where they earn their money, in my opinion. This is where a good manager, Martin O'Neill was always excellent at it. This is where a good manager will earn their money. If they can turn around a player that everyone thinks like, wow, he's not up there. If he gets the likes of Palma working way harder, tracking back, which is something he wouldn't normally do, tackling, doing the ugly stuff and doing the ugly stuff well, then you can kind of say to yourself, okay, the manager's keen to getting through to this guy. And that's what I'd like to see, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Fair dues.
And that's the kind of thing. But Rodgers, even if Rodgers maybe sees a wee spark in him, we know that's somebody put in the chat. He likes to nurture players and stuff like that. That's the kind of thing he gets his kicks out, if you want to call it that. But maybe, as you said, maybe it's a wee psychological thing, and that gave Palmer a bit up the backside and stuff. But if you're signing players like we're talking about, like Lager, Bielke, Narowski, players that Rodgers basically really didn't want. Do you know what I mean? I mean, for me, my opinion, I think Kuhn's the only actual player that we've signed for Rodgers came back that Rodgers actually wanted signed, and I like say this is my type of player. And I think, I mean, he's starting to show it a bit more often. He's as rapid as we thought he was. And you're going back to that he wasn't well and he'd lost all that weight. I think next season Kuhn could be a cracking player for us.
Yeah.
He's done well since obviously after that illness or whatever the teeth or whatever it may be. He's, in fairness, he has come good, and didn't think he was going to come good, but he has come good in fairness to him.
He came in and, I mean, I'll switch it. I've said this a few times. But the difference between Kuhn and Palmer was, for me, we saw that Palmer was a decent player. He showed it in spurts before he hit the kind of down turn or whatever you want to call it. Whereas Kuhn came in and looked absolutely ganting, terrible, as if he'd never seen a football before in his life. But then we read about all this with his teeth and all this, and he'd lost all this weight and stuff. And you can see wee flashes of what Kuhn can do. You know what I mean? You really can. He's starting to show a bit of that burst of pace that we saw in videos and everybody was talking about and stuff like that. So hopefully get this season out the way, get Kuhn a good pre-season in him, get him back to fighting weight and fully fit. And I think he could be a cracking player for us.
Yep. I'll agree with that, but it just reaffirms that a lot of these, majority of these signings pre-Kuhn were Rodgers signings.
Mm-hmm.
If Palmer's been brought in and he's now turning around and saying that he's know what he'd have looked for in a winger, or that's no his makeup's no what he'd have wanted in a winger, then it reaffirms to me that he had absolutely zero input into any of these signings that came in the summer. And as you've said, that Kuhn probably was his first signing since he's
how
come
much
back.
sense does that make?
Rodgers. Pardon?
Like, how much sense does that make? Like, do you know what I mean? That Rodgers basically doesn't have a huge say. I know there's it's the way the modern football works. It's a bit like that, but if you look at all the signings that he had, and realistically, if he's saying that none of them are really his signings, it's poor. Like, it's very poor. Like,
oh, it's scandalous. I mean, it's scandalous. It's like, I mean, right, it's like you look for the heat of recruitment, right? The manager says, right, we need to strengthen. Right, says the right wing. I'm looking for a right winger. Right, he knows what kind of player it should be between the manager and the scouts and maybe director of football. But there's no point in going out and signing a winger that's not going to do the actual job that the coach or manager, whatever you want to call him, is asking him to do.
Yep.
I mean, we could get there and spend £12 million. We could get there and spend £12 million on a winger. But he might not be capable of playing or doing what Brendan Rodgers wants him to do. But he might be shining out like a diamond in a pile of shite for the team he's at the now. But they play a different way phase and stuff like that.
I agree everything you said there, Marco, totally. But I was just looking at John Fitzsimmons. Hail. Thanks for joining. He was going on about Kuhn's rotten, he's too lightweight. I thought that at first when I seen him, John, as well. But my opinion, I think he's shown some flash of being a right good footballer and get a right good footballer's brain. I think recently he's getting better and better. He's had a wee dip again, but if the rumours are right about the losing, was it 6 kilos, nearly a stone, couldn't eat because of the dental work and all the rest of it. I think I can understand how he was not the greatest when he first came in. But I think, as Mark said, he'll be a right good player for us going forward. That's just my opinion, mate.
Tim, I know. Nice to see you again, Tim. That's what he's saying. I know it's getting rid of some of these players we've got as well, but isn't it? Somebody put a list.
The size of the squad's ridiculous.
Somebody put a list up in the forum the other day.
Aye.
Players, and see some of them. I'd have got to actually still. It's that Tilly on that. Haksabanovic.
Yep. Aye. McCarthy. Aye.
Seagulls.
Yep. I see when I read through that list, I was thinking they left. When did they leave? They're well away. Then you Google it and you think, God above. And I can't remember who it was that made that point in the forum, Mark. They'd listed about the 40 odd players. Something said it was at Derry, Tim, but I don't know if it was. 40 odd players, and saying we should really bring them down to roughly about squads of 25 and then try to promote youth, which in an ideal world we would all love. But it's 40. A team like Celtic carrying 40 first team players is ridiculous.
Aye.
But hey, Forrest was on that list, and look at it. He's bailed us out today. Bailed us out last week as well.
See if you're a betting man, put a bet on James Forrest to get a goal any time in the Scottish Cup final. We James Forrest going to score us We James Forrest going to score us a goal to take us the double this year. And I'll see the grief I've gave him for years. I'll forgive him all that terms. You know how much grief I've gave him.
Oh, yeah.
I'll forgive him all that if he keeps scoring the goals that get us out of the line for this double this year.
So you'll be forgiving Forrest, and I'm going to be running around Campsie naked.
Aye.
It's going to be some summer.
I'll run about myself. But you're doing a James Forrest, you run about your banger out.
And there'll not be a lot to see about that brief the drum. There's nothing there. So it'll be fine.
But look how much money Mark is taking up. Look how much money he's taking up with those players, and that's what we're on about wages and stuff. You know, I mean, only 11 players can start the game. You can bring on, what is it, the 3 subs now? It's gone down to 3 subs now. Is it still the 5?
Oh, it's still the 5.
It's still the 5.
Still the 5. Grand. Well, there's do you know what I mean? That's 16 players you can play in a game. What's the point in having 40 in the squad like that? And as you said, James McCarthy, Seagrass, yes, he's probably there. I don't know, whoever, as the boys said, Haksabanovic, all these. So, in my opinion, Celtic would in some cases would be better off to cut to just pay them off.
Pay them off and get them out the door.
Yeah, agree a percentage of their contract and get them out the door, because you know they're not going to do anything. All they're doing is taking a wage every week. You may as well take the hit at the start. Well, you have the few quid, get rid of them, free up wages and free up a space for someone that might contribute to the club. Because the rest of them, with the greatest respects, they're contributing on the field as much as the 3 of us are.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's
shocking. Think of the wages that would free up.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
That list of players on that forum, you could afford $100,000 a week playing on that kind of money if you could top up all their wages. Do you know what I mean? For the money that Celtic's wasting on wages for players that have never kicked a ball for us or are never going to kick a ball for us is ridiculous. It's actually pretty embarrassing when you look into it, and shows you kind of how scattergun and how messed up our recruitment has been. Even under Ange. I mean, Ange signed some donkeys and all. Let's not be kidding. Oh,
yeah. But, so Mark, I remember I sent you a list of players, and there was someone had it up, but there was only about 11 players in that. And, okay, I think Forrest was on that list, fair enough. But even at the time, I didn't think he was contributing much. But it equated to something like $6.5 million a year in wages. And on it, you could probably say the only one that had contributed anything was Forrest. You know, and it worked out to be massive money, like per week and per player. Like you could be going like, you know, you could get 2 seriously quality players in for that money. Like,
yep. There's Patrick's got a wee contentious point. Should this be the last 5 games be Forrest Swan's song if we go get the double?
Well, the day that's him. I think he played. That's him this season, made 1 more appearance than he did last season, and so far he scored the same amount of goals as he did last season. And
that's wild to think that.
Aye, but see, Forrest is happy enough to do it. I wouldn't mind James Forrest being on our bench next season. because he's proven. I mean, I've never been his greatest fan. Do you know what I mean? But he's proven he's proven time and time again that he can come off and score important goals.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So if he's happy just being at that, if he's happy with his appearances this season and last season, the amount of appearances he's got, and he's willing to do it again next season, we could do a lot worse. Maybe, I mean, I'm not saying starting Forest in Champions League games and stuff like that, but games in Scotland were maybe struggling for a wee bit. Having Forest coming on off the bench, he's more than capable of doing his turn in Scotland.
Experience as well.
Aye.
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of was the opinion of maybe time at the end of the season to let him go and see Nate Rooney and help him out, but I don't know.
I think he's actually looking a bit fitter. For me, I think he's lost a bit of weight in that as well.
Yes. I don't know if he had the turkey teeth done and all. Teeth done, man.
I never noticed.
He's had enough time to go and get a new set of teeth and all the rest of it. So
he's had enough time to go and get a hair transplant and there's no to notice.
What's that, mate?
He's had enough time to go and get a hair transplant and nobody would have noticed for it growing in.
Yep. His season's just really starting now, isn't it? He's been missing. So I can't believe that how little he's played this season. That's him just played one more game now than he did last season. So it just shows you he'll still be a decent wedge.
Boris will be one of your top earners.
Aye, exactly. And we can't be having one of our top earners using them coming on for about half a dozen games a season.
Anyone else here that Rodgers wants David Turnbull back? Away you go, Kev. You're pulling your leg, mate.
Aye.
You've dreamt that.
His IP address, Mark.
You've dreamt that. Stay after mushrooms, son, at the weekend. Kev.
6 million.
Oh. Days love, I keep Rocky, Welsh, Yang, Ralston, Yang. Oh, you keep Yang twice. Strangelove. Nice to see you, by the way, Dr. Strangelove. But Bernardo, why did he was on the bench today, wasn't he? But why was he not brought on as well? Because I thought he was digging his feet as well, getting towards the end of that game.
Aye. I was expecting Bernardo to come on. I kept waiting for him to come on. Because I thought maybe we were needing something different to try and get another goal. But I thought he was unlucky with that shot.
So some of the decisions anyway were very strange today, to be honest. I mean, at one stage, maybe, I don't know whether the players decide this themselves, but at one stage I watched Greg Taylor marking the centre forward, and he must have been at least a foot taller than Greg Taylor, like, at a corner, like. I was looking at it going, like, it's like me marking Mark or you, like.
There's
I mean, see, what are we doing now? I mean, I've tried to watch this and figure it out. Sometimes it looks as if we're made at these set pieces, and other times it's zonal marking.
Yeah.
It does, it's as if there's no kind of system of how we defend stuff. I mean, is that why we lost 2 goals against Aberdeen today? Last week? Because, I mean, people they're all blaming skills, but for me, that ball, right, for a start, the 2 balls that Alistair Johnson let the cross in was shocking. But what makes it even worse was, and I didn't know this to Mikey tell us, the guy that crossed the ball in plays for Canada, with Alistair Johnson. See, he knows what he's capable of doing and knows that he can ping these balls about. And then, I don't care, see when the ball goes into that position, you can blame skills all you want, but if your ball's getting into that position, your 2 centre-backs are responsible for going for it. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I think if I keep saying it, we need a big dominant guy that's the ball's coming into the box, and whether it's a Celtic player, whether it's an opposition player, he's going through them and he's heading that ball out the box.
A Bobo Belde.
Aye, and we've no got that. I mean, Carter Vickers he's got great qualities on the ball, and I mean, well, people going, we all slagged off Starfelt for the 2 or 3 years he was here, went on about how poor Starfelt was. Starfelt was a vast improvement on skills. Him and Carter Vickers had a great partnership. There was plenty of clean sheets when Starfelt was in the team.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
He won nearly every one of his headers, Mark. Starfelt won nearly every one of his headers.
Aye. And that's what we need. See, we need a better defender. I've said this. We need a better defender, a higher level defender than Carter Vickers. But we need an old-fashioned big hairy ass, mind big Vidic for Man United.
Yeah.
Somebody like that, Bobo Baldy, somebody that's going to stick their head in there. Doesn't matter if they're going to get a boot in the face. They don't care. All they bother about is getting that ball away for that goal.
There's too much of an emphasis, Mark, that they want this playing style centre back, like a Paolo Maldini kind of thing or something like that, rather than Celtic just having a bread and butter guy that the ball comes in, I head it clear. The defender comes, I tackle him. If I need to get the ball, I pass it 5 yards to my midfielders and let them do that.
Pass it 2 years to your ball playing centre back. You know what I mean? That's the ideal partnership,
whatever
isn't it?
Yeah, pass it to Carter Vickers. Like what we said a while ago about the goalkeeper. You want the centre back to be able to defend and be solid as a rock. That's what you want.
You want a keeper that can come for a cross ball as well.
Aye.
And
that's definitely something that needs to be addressed.
They're vampires, they're scared of the crosses. Tell us this, somebody made a point earlier on, just a wee quick question. It was Plunge. No, it wasn't Plunge. It was Tim and on. Tierney or Robertson, if you had the choice and a free, who would you take?
Oh.
What about you, Marco?
I'd take Robertson.
What about you, Ter?
I'd take Robinson as well, just purely on the basis that I'd say Tierney's days must be numbered with injuries. Unfortunately.
I'd take Robertson as well for the exact same reason.
Me and Mikey were talking about this. Me and Mikey were talking about this the other day. KT will be back at Celtic in the next couple of years. He will. I think that Mikey says the same. He's not going. He's done at the top level. He didn't need the money. He comes back here, and the next thing he's back up here with his loudspeaker talking back to the Green Brigade and all this kind of nonsense, and people just swallow it. Fans, do you know what I mean? It'll be the return of the prodigal son.
No,
will he come back as a centre back?
Well, that's the thing. But
he won't come back as a fullback, like.
I mean, Tom Boyd extended his career with moving into the centre back position and done well. But KT, I don't know. That boy should have been playing for Real Madrid by now. You know what I mean? See, when he was a young player, and I know he's had bad injury problems and stuff like that, and a lot of people blame Celtic for that. They played him too much when he was younger and stuff like that, but I don't buy into that. It's just maybe
it's
just not being aye. But
it's nonsense.
It's definitely not the career that he warranted. In my opinion, anyway, he should have ended up at the top of the very, very top of the game at one of the massive clubs in the world. I suppose he did. I mean, I suppose when you think about Arsenal as one of the big clubs, but you know what I'm talking about. He should have went and been winning Premier Leagues and European Cups and stuff like that. He was that kind of level of player when he was younger.
But when he went to Arsenal, it wasn't Arsenal of now, like, even with the greatest respects. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't Arsenal that looked like they were going to be challenging for any leagues. You know, that's what I would say to that point of view. Yes, Arsenal's a huge club, but he wasn't going to Arsenal when they were really pushing for stuff, like, you know what I mean? But like Mark, I'd agree with you. You thought he could have gone to a Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, or something like that. You know what I mean?
I'm not a fan of bringing players back anyway. He's had his. I'll just say it. He's had his chance. He bolted it when he could have had the 10. So that sticks in my throat. And for anybody, it's going to come on here and slate me and say I'm talking nonsense or they don't agree with it, and he bleeds green and white. I wouldn't have left for any money. I'd have stayed for the 10. I couldn't care less who he is. Or he was getting forced out. I've heard all the same pish. I don't believe it. If he comes out and say, look, they're trying to sell me. I don't want to go. The place would have been an uproar and he would have been backed. So I don't buy any of that nonsense.
I think a big factor of KT leaving was that Lennon get the manager's job.
Well, that's enough to stagnate MD's career, innit?
Well, no, but I mean, I've spoken about it before. If Lennon had been kept on as Celtic manager and we hadn't replaced him with Ronnie Dyler, we wouldn't have Cal McGregor and KT in the team.
No, definitely not. We said that, I don't know how many pods ago. We're talking about Dyler, but and it's for, I've heard folk, I've got pals saying his body can't stick to the higher level rigours anymore because he played through the pain barrier for Celtic and played too many games for Celtic, but that's nonsense. There's umpteen footballers out there that have played.
Cal McGregor.
Aye, a lot better than him. 50
odd games a year for.
Exactly.
Aye, he was
so
20-year-old or something.
I'm not buying that. Yep. So I don't buy that, but no, if you're if that's me, man, I'd have dug my heels in big time. However,
and let's face it as well. Is KT the type of fallback that we would be looking for? I mean, he's not charging up and doing that wing like he used to. He's not up and doing the park. Do you know what I mean? He's not that type of fallback now. Yep.
I'm no for players coming back, mate. I've said it before. It very, very, very rarely works out. Here we're with the manager and back, but it doesn't really work out a player coming back.
Well, the impression you have, Jerry, the impression you have with the player is the old player, not the new player.
Exactly.
That's the problem. So everyone has the impression of KT bombing up and down the wing, and as Mark said, with the loudspeaker, with the Green Brigade, and obviously, look, the lad's a Celtic fan, you won't deny that, and all the rest of it. But that's not what the Kieran Tierney they'd get if he came back. You'd get a very, very injury-prone Kieran Tierney on the physio bed non-stop down at Arsenal, or you know what I mean? And so, and he wouldn't be doing those runs anymore. He wouldn't. As I said, I think if he ever came back, he'd be coming back and they'd be looking to play him as a centre back. I genuinely do, because I know they play like a back three or whatever they call it at times with Arsenal and even with Scotland. Like he doesn't play full back with Scotland unless I'm mistaken, does he?
No, he's no full back with Scotland. No, he plays that kind of the left centre back role in a back three. I'm sure it is.
Left centre,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's what he'd be coming back to do for Celtic. Like if he comes back, he won't be coming back to doing, as Mark is saying, those marauding runs up and down the wing that everyone remembers it when he was a young lad. And the notion to say that he was playing too many games. What was he? 20, 19, 20, 21?
Aye.
If you're a 20-year-old or 21-year-old can't play that amount of games a season, there's something seriously wrong.
Patrick, I'd take the big Dundee back in a heartbeat. It was in a free transfer, but Bobby's just talking about. It was a free transfer in the summer, and we spoke about it on past podcasts at the time, and that was the type of we should have pushed the boat out. There was no transfer fee, sir. Why not offer Moussa Dembele £10 million or 5 years a signing on bonus on 50 grand a week? That's the kind of move. That's the kind of moves that Celtic should be trying to make. I would have 100% tried. I'm not saying they'd have came, but they should have definitely put the offer into him. But again, him and Rodgers, there was a wee bit of animosity with him when they left the first time. But again, if you don't ask, you're never going to know what the chances of it happening is. But I thought, I've been giving away there to Saudi. That big Dembele, that's a louse new into it, really. Who's going to take him into it?
Nah, that's it. Aye. Yep. But it's like a lot of them. I know I've said it before. Footballers, it's a short career, and they want to make as much money as they can. And we all think they come here because they love the team and all that, but they're essentially mercenaries. And he'll be like, Jota, you're away or there for what? Nada. Your career's down the drain. The money's good though.
And then it'll all go tit something. I mean, that him that left Liverpool to go that Henderson, he's at Ajax now, isn't he?
He's
I think
I
they were
mean,
struggling. They weren't struggling, but they weren't paying him his dough.
aye, there was something to do if he came back to England, he owed so much money in tax there, the Saudi move and stuff like that, so he couldn't come back to England.
Yep.
I think he's getting a job at Liverpool in the summer for what I've read for some of the other Reds on the Liverpool side and that Henderson.
Yep. See, somebody I can't remember, I was looking for it now. I was Tim and on. Wasn't a huge admirer then as a manager, loved him as a player. I was the same. I thought he was underrated at times as a player. But I wasn't a massive Lennon fan as a manager. First time around or second.
Oh no, I disagree with that, Jerry. I thought he'd done well for his first time.
No, I just wasn't a massive fan.
But Fibber's moved on for then.
Aye, no, I totally agree.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you get managers that are kind of like you've got managers like guys like Brendan Rodgers, and then you've got managers that are I don't know how to put it. Like they're no great tacticians and stuff like that, but you can get
made their team hard to beat. Go with that Sean Dyche. He was the perfect man for that Everton job. Now try to keep them up with no money and all the rest of it. But see if you want your team to be playing fast, attacking football and challenging at the top. That's not the type of manager he would have went for. And I agree entirely with what you're saying. And that's how times change and all the rest of it. And managers, that's how players, like Ters said, when your players come back, you're thinking of the old players and how they operated. Actually, I just don't think returns ever work out in football. You're better off leaving the past in the past.
And you've got to remember as well that Lennon's team was built with like John Park and guys like that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there was some right good players in Lennon's team the first time he was manager here. I mean, he should never have been brought back. Never in a million years should have come back for that year as a manager. No chance. We were lucky enough that when Rodgers sneaked out the back door in the middle of the night, that Lennon was out of job. But you know, on his way out to Israel or somewhere like that to do like TV punditry or something, when he get the call, and the next thing he was at that Taylor's in Glasgow getting measured up for the suit and stuff like that. It was that kind of thing. But it was ideal that he go to the other line that season when Rodgers left. But I mean, we've talked about it. Davy Moyes thought he had the job. Moyes thought the job was his, and then the next thing they offer Lennon it in the shower. And even if it wasn't the COVID season and all this kind of carry on and stuff like that, I don't know if Celtic would have had it in them to win the league that year for 10 in a row. I really don't. With Lennon in charge. Honestly, I just don't.
I think there was a huge level of arrogance there from the board as well, Mark. To give it to Lennon because Rangers, if we remember, Rangers basically after the Christmas basically just folded. I remember they lost at home to Hamilton, I think, one of the games, and they just really dropped hugely after the split or after the Christmas break or whatever it was, and they fell away. And I think I wonder did the Celtic board just think to themselves, do you know what, we can win the 10 in a row with Lennon. We don't need to with the greatest respect, a big name manager. We don't need to spend big. We can still do it. And then you had a combination of that and keeping players who didn't want to be there at the time, and it all manifested into probably one of the worst seasons you'll ever see in your life.
Yep.
At one of the worst times.
Just a freak season. It really was. I mean, see if it had just been a normal season, and the fans and that would have been allowed. I still. I mean, they wanted Gerard Punt sacked before that season had finished because he'd done nothing.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So they weren't as much disarray as we were, but I mean, the COVID stuff and the fans and that did play a massive part in it. It really did. I mean, it was just a freak season.
Aye.
And it's been shown to be that. But I'm still as confident as I was 6 weeks ago. I'm even more confident now that we'll win the league again this year, and it's just the same thing because the team should always rise to the top. I mean, they're Man City on line again to win the Pub League. What's that? Six out of the last 7. Was there only freak one? Was it when Liverpool won it? Was that not during the COVID season?
Yeah.
Juventus lost the Italian league and all, and that was the COVID season, and it was the first time in a few years. They were going for 9 or 10 in a row at the time and everything. That season it was just one of the weirdest seasons ever in the world for what was going on, but it was one of the weirdest seasons in football that I can remember in all my 25 years.
Aye.
It was a hard watch.
That's 4 in a row for City. 4 in a row for City. But what is it, Bobby? Is it 6 out the last 7 or 7 out the last 8 or something like that?
Aye, 6 and 7.
So, and it's just there's no point. I mean, there's no point sitting here moaning about it now. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, it's done. That's exactly it.
Aye.
Time to move on. But again, it comes down to the board like resting their laurels. I mean, Lowell said he wasn't even going to open the applications for anybody else. Lennon was the man. So, no, you just need to move on and leave the past the past.
I would love to have a look at that file. See a file that Lowell says he never looked at.
Aye.
I've said that to you before. I would love to have a look and see at that time the names, got the managers that were interested in the Celtic job. Whether Big Jerry's cut off here. Whether it's for they were just their agent just saying, oh, do you want to talk to so and so, or whether they were actually there's a manager that was interested in it or that. Because it's the kind of job that at least make you or kill you, basically, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, but again, as you said, Mark, I think there was arrogance there from the Celtic board.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
You know, but look, it's in the past. We'll try to forget about it.
Aye, we'll get 10 in a row this. We'll get 10 in a row this time. Eh?
Yeah, hopefully, please God. Please God, they do. You know, I mean, the next 2 games are huge. Ideally, if they win the next 2 games,
aye,
that's it. That's it. I would think that's it.
Whoa, that's a shout for you there.
You know, because that's obviously that's going to be 6 points ahead and bigger advantage in goal difference. 36 games to go. You know, you'd expect it, but the next two games are huge. But thankfully, the next 2 games are at home, in front of their own fans, with very little away fans, and none in one case and very little in the other case. So it's ball is certainly in their own court. It's in their hands now.
Aye, it's Celtics to lose now. Do you know what I mean? It really is.
Yeah.
And I mean, as you said there, Terence, the fact that we're at home to Hearts and Dame, that's a big plus for me, because I've been the fact the way we've been playing not just in the last couple of weeks, even early season, the way we've been playing. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't fancy going to Hearts and needing a win. No,
God no, because they can't keep clean sheets, Mark.
What are you talking about, G-Dog? Mark, don't start that shit again. I always talk shit, G-Dog. I repeat myself quite often as well. Yeah, Kev going for 56 before them. I think that if we win the double this year, does this not put us on even keel with trophies won with the world's most successful club now?
Might be one behind, Mark. I could be wrong now. Might be one behind. So it won't be a million miles away from it.
Oh no! So I think next year we become the world's most successful club. Next season we win the treble. Maybe throwing a wee European Cup or that in there.
Okay.
We don't even talk about Europe.
That's the thing we get going forward in Europe, right? See the way this obviously we're losing the automatic Champions League spot the following season for next, but because there's none of this, right? We drop them down to the Europa League, drop them down to this, drop them down to that. There's no chance of really Celtic progressing and getting to European finals and stuff like that. If we're tied into winning the league and an automatic Champions League spot, do you know what I mean? That's definitely changed it. It's changed the landscape for me, because we've always thought, get into that Champions League, if we can finish third and get into the Europa League, maybe we can take a punt on that and get somewhere, do you know what I mean? But that's gone now.
there's no harm either, Mark, because to be honest, I don't think you should be allowed in 2 competitions anyway.
No, that's a fair point.
You know, I mean, if Celtic win the league and they know they're in the Champions League and it's extended and it's going to be X, Y, and Z, if they don't spend money this time, they'll never spend money.
No. And I've spoken about this as well, Weez. See, that's why it's like the top so many teams go through, the middle teams all play a playoff, and then the bottom teams all get. Celtic got to be aiming for the level A, at least getting into that first knockout round, finishing in that mid-section of that league, that they actually make it into the next round.
Well, yeah, without a doubt, they have to.
And I'm not just meaning from the fans' point of view, I mean, surely God, the board and everyone's looking at it that way.
Well, I would mean more the board and the club, Mark, than even more the fans, because look, at the end of the day, and I don't mean to use this term, but I'm going to use it. Celtic have been embarrassing in Europe, and there's no getting away from it. Like, they're embarrassing in Europe, and it's not good enough. And with this new format next year, there's more teams in it. You conceivably will get an even harder group than they get. If you don't perform and you play against the Man City or Bayern Munich or whoever it is, you could get an absolute spanking, like. And, you know, I'd rather Celtic, you know, not be there than going into these competitions and every week they're playing it's a 4-0, 5-1, 6-0, 4-0. I wouldn't want that. Like, I genuinely wouldn't. So the board and the club need to go down with the manager. If they win the league, please God, and go, right, we have to loosen the purse strings. You're going to get 60 million now. You have to spend 30 million of that and get some good quality players in and get rid of the rubbish that's there and use their wages as well. I don't know whatever way they do it, but it needs to be changing big time if they get into this.
I totally agree. I've said that all along, Terence. This new format, there's a chance. I mean, there's still like rankings in that, Terence. It's not as if we can end up playing like Man City, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and PSG. Do you know what I mean? It's not like that.
I know what you're saying. There's going to be pots. I get that. I get that.
Right, good night, Bobby, mate. Thanks
Bobby.
very much again for wee mods for God. Thanks a lot, Bobby. Good night, bud.
He's been in since about 1:15, I'd say.
He sends me a tenner a week just to let him know when I'm going to put the thing up that we're live, so that he can be first in.
That's all I would say. Sorry, go on, Jerry.
No, it's just Kenny Arthur's point, Marco. The board have no ambition in the Champions League. They'll never invest in it, just hoping. The budget is based on the nearest domestic rivals. Always was and always will be. I hope to God not.
There's got to be a tipping point there, Kenny. There really is, because right, we're sitting there. What have we got? I don't know. Right, I don't know what we've got in the bank now. 60-odd million down to or something like that. Went to 70 odds and it's down to 60 odds. Right, the money that we're going to make for this season, and then if we win the league, the money that we're guaranteed to make for the Champions League. But Celtic can't just sit there and then in like 2 or 3 years' time say, like, all right, that's us, get £240 million in the bank. But we're only spending 15 million this summer because we need to keep the league relevant and stuff like that. There's got to be a tipping point and Celtic's got to say here, wait a minute, man, this is pish. We need to up our game here. We need to look at the bigger picture.
Well, the fans won't tolerate Mark going to Parkhead and watching Celtic play games like Atletico Madrid or whoever it may be and be spanked 3 and 4-0 and then going away from home and getting the hiding as well. Fans will just go, look, I'm not giving you my hard-earned cash. I'm giving you enough as it is during the season. And like that, you can't turn around and go, well, no, we have 100 million in the bank, but we're after spending 20 million on 15 players. They all cost us like $1 million each or $500,000 each or whatever. Do you know? And we're hoping one of them is going to turn into a Virgil van Dijk. Like, you're like, do you know that? You know, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Like,
I think the tipping point's been. I don't think the the way things were going earlier on in the season, maybe even 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, me personally speaking, I don't think that the fans will put up with shite this pre-season and been fed bullshit, any more bullshit. I think the tipping points came. I think there's got to be big changes behind the scenes at Celtic Park at the end of this season. I think we need to get this season done and dusted as soon as we can. League One, then the Cup. Once that's done, then I'd be hoping there's some big changes afoot, because we can't keep we can't go rinse and repeat and just hoping that just being ahead of aim's good enough, because it doesn't make financial sense to the board, and B, for us, in order for us to progress, it doesn't make sense, none whatsoever. We should be looking to try and be the best that we possibly can. And given the resources we've got now, there's no better time for being able to make things happen, and getting us light years away from everybody else in this league. I couldn't really care less about the rest of them, but it's not the way to run a business, and if the board are want to run us like that, they're no doing it to the best of their abilities, just been ahead of them. That's not good for anybody, because they're running the risk of one day that they sneak past us and beat us to a league or beat to whatever. They should be in our rear view mirror and never be seen again. But that's all ifs, buts and maybes. If we win this league, then I think that'll be the case. But ideally for me, we should be looking for some of I mean, you've seen some of these teams that have been built in the past, with young, hungry players. That we're going into this, or hopefully going into this Champions League, will be up against a right few good quality teams, and nobody wants to go into Europe and take a doing. I know JFP came on. I don't even think he took his Champions League tickets for the exact same reason. He was nowhere to go and see them getting pumped 3-4-5-0 at home. None of us want that. But that's what's essentially going to happen if we're not going to try and sign the right players.
But see that, Jerry?
The definition of stupidity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Exactly. Sorry, Mark.
But what I was going to say there was, see, like Real Madrid rocking up against a 4 or 5-0 pump or what? Do you know what I mean? Like one of the superpowers of the game.
I can understand.
You can see, you can understand that, but it's in other teams that you should be competing with, and you're getting nothing out of it. And then their team's turning up that you know you should be beating, and you're getting nothing out of it. That's the problem. I mean, that Bodo Glimt game, that still haunts me to this day.
I was going to say, to see these games with pre-qualifiers, we used to turn up to, and your teams like Rosenborg and Bodo Glimt and some of these.
But that was to get into that was the last 16, wasn't it? Bodo Glimt.
Aye.
They were in pre-season. Hadn't they played a game for 5 months or something like that? And so,
aye. I just can't work that out. And as I say, we want to kid on. We're a big club and act like a big club and say we're a big club, but we don't want to rather say it again. We want to kid on we're a big club and make it look as if we're a big club. We don't act like a big club. We've no, for me, we've not got the right structure in place. We've not got the right people in the footballing positions. I've said it before. We seem to be the only team in the world that moves people positions and heralds it as a new appointment. We just like to move coaches and players people about and make it look as if we've got a brand new appointment for them. So I think we need to get the structure right, and I think Rodgers being the coach and manager, I think he's got to have a bigger input into the players that are coming in as well.
Oh, totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I harp on about director of football and stuff like that, but the manager's got to have a bigger input on the players for to play the way he wants them to play. But as we said earlier on, the only point of seeing a player that can't do what Brendan Rodgers wants him to do. Yep.
See, the other thing is, somebody said to you a few weeks ago in one of the pods, Mark, when you were growing about a director of football, we were talking about teams and clubs, and they had said about Klopp doing at Liverpool.
Aye.
I see that this new boy for that slot from Feyenoord, they're bringing him in. He's not a man. They've changed it. He's the head coach.
Aye.
So it's not that Klopp was doing as the manager. So they're even moving away from it because I think they're going to be bringing somebody else in to work above him or work with him rather.
Aye, but they've already got a guy.
I had the boy Edwards at one point.
No, guy Hughes. Somebody Hughes. Liverpool had.
Aye, they had him, but I think they're bringing somebody else in as well.
Aye.
So it's no longer a manager; it's a head coach again. Back to that.
Man United's fighting in court or whatever to pay the money to get that boy, the guy from Newcastle.
Ashworth, is it?
Ashworth, aye, they've already brought that Wilcox in. Man City's got a director of football. Bayern Munich's got a director of football. Do you know what I mean? All the big clubs have got this.
Aye. Yep.
And that's for me. That would be that. That's one of the major things that we need Celtic need to look at, because we can't have it that every time the manager leaves the club, everything falls apart. That's what a director of football brings. He brings that continuity into the kind of system. The club's got an ethos. This is how we run things. This is how we play the game of football. This is us. So it's up to the director of football to keep things ticking over when managers come and go. I mean, when you look at like say Ajax and all these teams, nothing's changed for Ajax over the years. They're right. They've had wee spells of no won the league. They've had wee spells that have been winning European cups, but they've not changed the actual way things have been run for donkey's years. And it's one of the most successful clubs in the world when it comes to producing top-tier players.
Yep. Agreed, mate. We'll just need to wait and see what happens.
Mark, all the clubs are the same, Mark. All the big, like you said it there. All the big clubs, they all have someone in that position, a director of football. Everyone does. For some reason, Celtic don't think that they need one, which is clearly proven that it's incorrect that they do need someone. And until they do that, and surely to God, even for argument's sake, they always want the director of football and the manager to be, to be in a sense good friends and getting on well with each other and the whole lot. Like surely to God, like Rodgers worked with one in Leicester, no doubt about it, and he would have probably worked with one in Liverpool at the time. So it's not difficult to like.
See, when Rodgers was at Liverpool, Terence, it was a board. They had a board that sat there and Rodgers. I think Rodgers was part of it, I'm sure, but it wasn't even like a director of football and the manager talking about it. There was a board of guys also. Basically, so, see, when I read about it and heard about it after a couple of other reads, it was just like us sitting talking about players. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was no kind of expertise involved in it as such. It was more just like guys that were maybe Liverpool shareholders and he's there, but he'd scout there, right, we'll get him in as well. They don't sit there and just get through a list of players and see who kind of tick the boxes.
Yeah. Well, like surely to God, you'd imagine that if you got someone in Rodgers who sits down with the director of football and they decide, and Rodgers goes, look, I really need this kind of a player, that kind of a player. And they sit down and he goes, well, I was looking at this guy, we were looking at that guy. And between them, you'd imagine they can get it. And then the director of football can go his way and start trying to get that sorted and leave the manager concentrate on the football. And at least the manager knows that the guy is on his side and trying to get in the players that he wants.
Aye. That's a kind of trust thing, Terence.
Usually, yeah.
The manager and the director of football, he did recruitment, having a blather saying, right, we're looking for this, blah, blah, blah. Because if he did recruitment, he gets the scouts to go out looking for somebody. The scouts come back to him, then he brings that to the director of football and the manager and says, right, we've come up with this list. And the three of them sit and talk about it. And then at that kind of point, you bring in Michael Nicholson to talk about the finances. So there are 4 people involved in it. Director of football, the manager, head coach, he did recruitment, and the guy that deals with the money. And that's where that's the brain, the power point of the club. Between the 4 guys, everything should be coming together to improve the club and improve the team and get the right players in to fit whatever the manager's looking for.
I don't mean this in a rude way now, Mark, right? But that took all of 5 minutes to put that together there. Like, what are Celtic looking at? That we just had a quick discussion, and this is generally the way that it should generally be, like it is in majority of clubs. But yet it's not in place in Celtic, and we had a discussion there for 2 minutes, and you're going to go, these are the guys that should be there. This guy. They should decide it, and that's it. But there's no rocket science involved in this, like. And it's hard to believe that Celtic still don't have something like this in place, like.
Off topic, Marco. There, Patrick McLaughlin's saying that they're talking about Forest for the Euros in the sports scene now.
For God's sake.
Unreal. Match of the day fever, a couple of half-decent wee games, and that's him maybe got to make the Euro squad.
And saying that, the amount of injuries in that, they might be playing in the middle of the park.
That's McTominay and what's his name? Ferguson.
Aye. I mean, I think you'd get really downhill. They might end up playing Cal McGregor in midfield in these Euros.
No, I hope to God no. Give him the summer to rest and recuperate and try and rediscover his form.
Then announce his retirement for the Scotland team at the end there.
Yep, hopefully. Evening, Greg. Here's Greg just done.
Evening, Greg. Times you call this, mate.
He was walking. He does that kilt walk. The MC for the kilt walk.
Aye.
He
You
gets
kidding
Tom
on?
Hunter on board. No, that's what he does all that now. The MC for the kilt walk.
Fair play.
You get Tom Hunter on here to try and get his mic in a wee studio and all that set up so we can get our faces on camera, Mark.
My face was on camera the other week.
Oh, you're joking.
No,
Oh
I
my
didn't.
God.
I put my
Was it
camera
on
on
Crime
accidentally. I put my
Was it on
camera
Crime
on
Watch?
accidentally, man.
Was it on Crime Watch?
I'd be all right, man. They'd need widescreen to get my face on it, so I'd be sound.
We have to put them on after the watershed, like myself, to be like, Jesus, stay to him.
After-
All right, only after
after
9
9.
o'clock.
Yeah.
I went back and edited it out. I went back and edited it out in the video. But my mics were playing up mine, Jerry.
Aye.
And I kicked myself out the chat, and then when I put it back on, my camera was on, man.
I need to pay a
the
big
emails
square
I've had
to
off
hit my wall.
the amount of emails I've had off of women saying I was just looking at my man's back, at my man's shoulder when he was watching the internet the other night. Came and find your channel and that.
Aye. I'm sure. I would need to paint a big square in the wall behind me and make it look as if I just painted the house.
I didn't realize the nursing home people were looking at the podcast.
Aye. Well, that's what I want. I want false teeth and dementia.
Gee, Doc, I got a fright, Mark. Aye, right? You should wait to message me.
Yeah, lovely.
Aye, Red Scotland, I know. I used to do that. See, just keep a wee bit of tape of the camera. I read that on the internet that people can hack your cameras in that.
Aye, I started getting in for a shower and doing that, man, making sure my towel was on my phone, just in case. Didn't want any of these creeps logging on and seeing this. Three-legged monster.
Oh, this show's gone right downhill now.
Aye. I don't trust technology. I'm horrendous with it, but see some of the things they can do nowadays, it's frightening. Or the younger ones, I'm lost with all technology. My wee boys got to show me how to do this and how to do that and all the rest of it. It's frightening.
Squad
over. Aye, can you remember that one, Marco?
Aye. Then who would that have come in then? Burley and that, wouldn't it?
Burley, 97. Aye. Lambert, Burley. Aye, Burley, aye, gee whiz. I had his name. I've she would admit it, man. I had his name in the back of my tap when he came in.
Burley
came in, didn't he?
I was outstanding for us, I thought, as a player. Anyway, for the season, it was here.
Oh, Burley was
Larson
a great player for us. Aye, Larson would be then as well, aye.
Yeah. He came in Wim Jensen, wasn't it?
Aye.
Yep. God above, I remember that. Yeah, it was.
But even going back to
he was
that,
the winner. Huh?
but going back to that, and even back then, I mean, this was on the forum the other day. Somebody, you know, about Fergus McCann and that. And I'm like, well, let's face it. Look how Celtic, they've grown about and some fans booed him when he unfurled the league flag. Well, let's face it. What was different? How did Fergus McCann run Celtic different than it's been run now? He fell out with players. They made promises to players that he never kept. There was a massive disconnect between the club and the fans because of the way he was running the club with Jock Brown there.
But he came in, Mark, and put his money where his mouth was and saved us. He never came in with
he also micromanaged the club to an extent that would put Peter Law to shame. See if Peter Law was running the club the way Fergus McCann had. There'd have been people wanting to lynch him for the nearest lamppost.
But he wouldn't have put up with half the shit that we've put up with, 5-way agreements and all that shit. There's not a chance he'd have put up with any of that push. It's a disgrace the way that wee guy was treated. Booing him and all the rest of it. It was a joke.
But a lot of what he said to Mark when he came in fairness, like he did say he'd have Celtic the full stadium. He said he'd leave them financially sound. He'd take, you know, a lot of the stuff that he said that he would do, he done. You know, I understand people were annoyed at certain things, but his hand, Celtic back then, Mark, were like, you know, they were like, what were they, an hour away from being gone? Like, it's completely different from this situation where they've got tons of money and they're not willing to spend anything.
And it was all engineered today, half-wits across the water.
Yeah.
But it was still the way you ran the club, Terence. He lied to bit. He broke promises to players. He fell out with players. He fell out with managers. You know what I mean? Wim Jansen came for a season, won as a league and walked out because of the way Fergus McCann was running the club with Jock Brown and that. There isn't. Take away the fact that he put in money to save the club. There's no difference. Celtic's not been run any different for me than it has under McCann's time.
But I think there was a lot more financial constraint, Mark. I agree where you're coming from. Broken promises to players and stuff like that and all the things. That's not ethical. I get that. And I agree with you on that side of it. But what I would say is there was a lot more hamstrung than they are now. There's like, you know, there was times when Fergus McCann said certain things. Okay, whatever about players and managers. But he said that he was going to do X, Y, and Z for the club and to save the club and get the stand, the stadium right and all the other things. He done a lot of those things, like under extreme circumstances when the crowd across the city were spending money they didn't have, and when they were dominating. Celtic, the roles are slightly reversed now. That Celtic have plenty of money, but the powers to be who were there at the time were still doing. You know, wanting it to run their own way. Like as you said, you wouldn't have got Fergus McCann appointed a manager in the shower.
No.
You know, I understand where you're coming from, Mark, but I do think Fergus McCann was slightly constrained to what he had done. But he also brought in like Jock Brown. Was he not like the director of football back then, or was he?
It was a kind of mix between the director of football and like the CEO terms. It was a kind of mixture between the two of them.
Do you know, but in fairness to Fergus McCann,
he brought in that, who was to get Pete McLean, the Boys Against Bigotry campaign.
Yeah.
They were trying to crack down. I mean, there was no, I mean, I've said this so long. There's a few Celtic songs that they shouldn't be sung at games and stuff like that. But the majority of Celtic songs, I don't see anybody got a problem with them. But they try. It was enough they were trying to break away for the kind of Irishness of the club and stuff like that. Like, why is that? I love Fergus McCann for what he done for Celtic, but saving the club and stuff like that. But a lot of the decisions he made at the time, I don't think were right for the club.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough, and I understand where you're coming from with the songs and all that, and I get that. You just wonder, did a guy like him think, by this being portrayed, we're not as commercial a product as if I can weed this out. I'm not saying it was right or wrong either way, but I'm just saying, was that his thought process? But yeah, look, I don't know. It's a hard one, but I understand where you're coming from, Mark. But I just think that from a Celtic fan's point of view, I thought what he done was unbelievable. Not all of it, obviously, but the majority of what he done was unbelievable. He basically came in and he said he put up his own money. He'd save the club. He'd get the stadium, a 60,000 stadium built, and he'd do some things. Yes, some things okay, as you said. He didn't necessarily follow through with maybe players and managers, and that's not all right. But at the end of the day, like, for me, he's the guy that basically he saved Celtic. Like, I've been an hour away. They could have been exactly what the crowd across the city are. So from that side, from that side of it, he should be held in a lot more appreciation, in my opinion, than he is actually by some people.
Wee man syndrome, isn't it? Because he was big, because he was the same size as you.
No, nothing like that.
I know what you're talking about. It did do a lot of good things, and obviously the saving the club and that, definitely. But it was just. See, the time, the buzz about Celtic, see that season we were at Hampden, that's one of the worst, honest to God. It was horrible. It was a terrible, you weren't even enjoying going to the games in that terms that year with Terrent out Hampden. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
See, to be back at Celtic Park, and even though it wasn't finished, but the big new stone had been built, the big North Stone and stuff like that, there was a good buzz about the club. And then we get players like Di Canio, Pierre, Cadetti, we get them in and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't know how to put this into words. Although we stopped doing the 10, I think to an extent, Fergus, we won the league a year too early for Fergus. See, if we'd won the league the next year, Fergus was selling up and moving on anyway. You know what I mean? I think it was getting to the point to win as a league, and we won it, and then I don't think he'd any plans after that, Terence, if you get what I mean by that. His plan was, I'll get in here, I'll sort out the money, I'll start building this stadium, blah, 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 we'll win the league, and that'll be me, I'll move on then. You know what I mean? And for some pure quirk of fate, some pure stroke of genius, stroke of luck, which has got to be comparable, or maybe even better than plucking Ange out from anywhere, was getting Wim Jansen in as manager.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, what if we played the game with Wim Jansen and kept him on and let him build the team and move his own foot? You know what? It's all ifs and buts, but we could have probably been a lot better team, Terence, if we kept Wim Jansen at the club and happier and got him things in that he wanted to do for the club. So although McCann done a lot of good, there wasn't his kind of unicorns and rainbow shit as a lot of people kind of remember when they reminisce about it, in my opinion.
No, I know. As I said, I agree with you on the footballing side of things. There was a lot of issues. Yeah, obviously Wim Jansen leaving after winning the league and winning the League Cup, I think it was huge when Celtic hadn't won. Obviously, they hadn't won the league in the previous 9 seasons, so it was massive. There's no question about that. I don't know really, but I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, though, Mark. And I agree.
It's just the same. It's just, see, for me, it's just the kind of same situation we're in the now. Celtic should be aiming better, aiming higher, doing better, doing more to keep their better players. It's like, right, everybody's kind of resigned that, Matt Riley's going to leave in the summer.
Why?
Right? But I mean, even we said that, look, Matt Riley looks so good in the summer, but I don't know, he's got three years left in his deal, maybe, Matt Riley. Why does Celtic go for him? Look, Matt, one fair, whatever it is, supposing he's in 20 grand a week, turn on and say to Matt Riley, look, Matt, sign a wee contract extension now for a few years. We'll give you 40 grand a year, 40 grand a week, whatever, 45 grand a week, 50 grand a week, we'll give you that. We're in this Champions League stuff. Have another year, we see how it goes. And next summer, will below this us as Celtic and you and your agent and whatever clubs will all get a deal together that moves you into a higher level. Instead of just accepting that Matt Riley's leaving because it looks as if he's been turned for January, he's not been the same player since he's been turned. But we're only kind of guessing that. But as a club, why don't Celtic ask these questions of players instead of just accepting that if he's leaving, he's leaving. Try and keep them, at least for another year or something like that, instead of just accepting defeat that every good player we get is going to move on in the next 2 or 3 years for money.
Yeah. Oh no, listen, you're bang on, Mark. There's no question about it. It seems to be Celtic's prize asset year on year in is okay. Well, we can sell. It's great. We can sell him now for 25 million or 20 million or 18 million plus sell-ons and all the rest of it. I wholeheartedly agree with you, because if Celtic can go on and win the league and are in the Champions League, it's a player like Matt O'Reilly you're going to get. A Matt O'Reilly of 1.2 million or whatever he was costing, like Celtic will buy 40 more players for 1.2 million and they may not get another Matt O'Reilly.
Aye.
The proof is in the recruitment this year. None of like the small money guys that they've got, most of them have been bang average or terrible. So you're not just because you spend it. So if you keep throwing mud at the wall hoping for it to stick, you know what I mean. That's not the way Celtic should be operating. They are in a position, Celtic, where they have money where they didn't have it before. They should be able to source out better players than some of the guys that they're looking at. They've been getting at the minute, in my opinion.
Well, that's again, Terence, that's what we're talking about. That's when it comes down to like the recruitment to find these kind of undiscovered gems like Matt O'Reilly and speed players like that. But what I was saying earlier on is that, and I'm hoping there's players out there that everybody knows what they can do. Brendan Rodgers was at Celtic. He can do me a job. That's the type of player I want, blah, blah, blah. And that's the kind of type of player we're in the now, without having any kind of proper recruitment team in place.
Yeah. But they can't keep, what I'm trying to say, Mark, is they can't just keep buying a 2 million pound player and hoping that it's going to be a Matt O'Reilly. It's, like, as I've said this before in here, and probably Peter's probably sick of listening to me saying it, but if you look at Edward, they paid X, Y, and Z for him when they got him on. Okay, they got him on loan for the year, and then they had to pay the money from Carter Vickers on loan. Then they had to pay 6.5 million. Then Jota 6.5 million. Like generally speaking, I know people will go back to the Barkas, but there's a lot more 1 millions and 1.5 millions that have failed than 4 or 5 millions that have failed at Celtic.
Aye. If you spend a higher transfer fee, you're obviously, unless you've got buyout clauses and whatever kind of stuff in a contract. But I mean, the general feeling in football is if you pay more money, you get a better player. And
exactly.
How many times do you say £5 and £6 million 10 years ago? It isn't the same as £5 or £6 million a day.
Exactly, but like if you spend 50,000 on a car, and you spend 5,000 on the car, you expect the 50,000 £1,000 car to be unbelievable and to be no problems with it. You expect the £5,000 car. Well, you know what I mean. There could be a few issues with this, and it could break down a lot more than the normal, or it could have this, or it could have that.
I'll get you to your working back, but don't drive in holiday into that kind of thing.
Yeah. So you don't expect, for argument's sake, Yang to come in, who's 1 million, to all of a sudden light the place up and be sensational, and we're going to sell him next season or the season after for 20 million. Celtic have to stop and have to get away from that template that they have, because I don't know. I think it's becoming very, very annoying. You have Yang, you've Tillo, you've Holm. Like the list goes on. The guys previous to that under the Spurs manager, where they're paying small money for guys. Yeah, some of them will come through, but the vast majority of them won't come through. Like they just won't come through. Like, and Celtic need to change from that, because they're now in a position where they have money. that they can minimise their signings but maximise the quality. That's what I would say.
Aye. It's a bit better. What is it? Better bang for your buck, they say, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, minimise the quality or minimise the expense, but increase the quality. Like, you know what I mean? You know, I said pay a little bit more, but you don't have to have as many of them in. You don't have to have 10 guys in, and all from varying from 1 million to maybe 4 million. Rather than going, okay, we'll bring 4 guys in, and we're going to spend 25 million, but we'll spend 25 million on 4 guys, not 25 million on 10 guys. You know, I mean,
I've said that for so long, Terence, as well. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. It's like, even down to the wages, what we said earlier on, if you've got 18 players there doing nothing for you, costing you 100 grand a week, you know better with 2 players at 50 grand a week that are knocking in goals to left, right and centre.
yeah, exactly, because there, as I said a while ago, Mark, the list that I saw, that list up on the forum, and the one that I done that day when I sent that to you, the majority of players are contributing to Celtic as much as myself, yourself, and Jerry are, as on the playing side of it. You know, and all what they're doing is taking a wage out of Celtic. They're contributing nothing to Celtic, and you know, Celtic haven't got a finance situation where they can afford to have 5, 6, 7 guys on combined wage of, for argument's sake, 50, 60 grand a week combined, the 5 or 6 or 7 of them. For that to occur, that they're Celtic are okay to pay 60 grand a week to 7 guys that contribute nothing. That's pointless, like.
It's a. What would you call that? Like a business sense? I mean, you don't just got a waste of money, but
they're all liabilities.
Pure liability, is that the word? Aye.
Yeah, they're all liabilities. None of them are assets. Assets are something that you could sell and you could make money off, like a, for argument's sake, a Dembele, a Jota, you know, Edward. They're all assets because they're prime assets. Whereas all these other boys you're only losing money on them. They're all liabilities because they're taken from the club and they're contributing nothing, like. Not a thing, like. James McCarthy, with the greatest respect, Seagrass, you know, if Yeti's still on the books.
We'll look at a Yeti and Barkett's transfer fees that we're going after. That's nearly £10 million in transfer fees. So that's basically more than what we paid for Edward. We're record signing. We're writing off our 2 shitey transfers.
And the wages as well.
Aye.
Frightening. But our recruitment's been a shambles for years. It's not this is just all of a sudden. It's for years our recruitment's been terrible, and we seem to load up on shite. And this is how none of us can fathom out. Sorry, I understand. We keep loading up on umpteen players that are of minimal value. From being beside the boy Bangura and all the rest, it's been going for years. Signing the players for $1 million here, a couple of million here, paying them all right wages, and then you never hear. They end up no ticking a ball throughs or doing nada, and you just keep replacing shite with shite, and it doesn't make any sense at all. Whereas you push the boat out a wee bit more in wages, you're getting that bit of quality, and they're going to contribute to the team. And with our boards, we are thinking there's a chance you can sell them on. Yeah. All these players you bring in, you're lucky to recoup any fee at all for them. With the wages you've paid them, the transfer fee you've shelled out for them, and then you end up needing to write everything off. You get nothing in return.
But it convinces me more and more, Jerry, even from what you're saying there, it convinces me more and more that Celtic's template is basically players 1 to 5. 1 is the top guy, 2 is the next, and then obviously 4, so forth. It convinces me that Celtic look at number 3 and 4 on the list repeatedly. Very rarely do they look at 1 and 2 because he's going to cost us 8 million and he's on 40 grand a week or 50 grand a week. Or your man number 2, how much is he? He's about 6.5 million and he's on about 35 grand a week. What about number 3? He's probably about maybe 3 million. What's he on? About 10 grand a week. Oh yeah, he's the guy we look at. We look at 3 and we look at 4. I'm fully convinced that if there's a list of 5 players and they're midfielders, middle midfielders, that they look at number 3 and 4 because of cost and then wages. Because there's no way that every player that they can bring in, or the majority of players that they bring in, can be all the same transfer fees, especially in the current climate. I find it impossible to believe.
Look, Tim,
Did we know?
look,
Did we
Tim,
know? Did I get any leaving a free?
I don't know. Hopefully he did.
I thought he'd left in a free.
I would probably no doubt had to pay up his contract to get rid of him. But for every Jota, Abada, and Turnbull, there's umpteen Fleming, Schweds, McCarthy, Fleming, who's your Quan, there's hundreds of them. You can get through the amount of transfers that have no worked out for us than have over the last 15 years or so, even further back. So, we've made some money on likes of Jota, Abada, Turnbull, but some of if you add all that together, the wages that we've shelled out for players that have never cut the mustard and the transfer fees, I'm sure that we're going to be in a loss.
And there's plenty of them still at the club, Jerry.
Henke saying I get he went for 500,000. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean that just shows you how scattergun crazy. I mean the thing about it was as well, and I've spoken about this and went off or not about it. We were in for him on loan. He was coming up to Celtic loan,
yeah.
And then the next time we spent what, 5 million, £4.5 million on him.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Absolutely craziness.
Yeah.
Colin
Kazim
Richards.
Oof.
He'd cracked a reporter or something like that in Turkey. Do the hand phone Peter Long says we need to get him. I need to get him out of Turkey or blah blah blah. So Celtic sign him. The fuck's that all about? I know.
Carlton Cole.
Baldy. Amido Baldy. The absolute garbage it was just spent. And again,
the list goes on and on, Mark. It's not that's what I'm saying. It's not just all of a sudden. It's been going on for years. We've never been able to identify a keeper. Never. Twice in the last 30, 40 years we've had a couple of good keepers, but the rest of the recruitment's been horrendous for years as well.
But as I said, Jerry, I'm fully convinced that they don't look at the high end of the market, as in the sense of the list of, if there's 5 keepers there, they don't look at 1 and 2 because 1 and 2 is too expensive for them. They look at 3 and 4 and 5 and go, well, which one of these do we think could do a job for us, and how much is it going to cost us, and X, Y, and Z. And I guarantee if they've 3, 4, and 5 in the list, and 3 is going to cost them 3 million or 4 million, and number 4 is a free transfer, they're roughly the same wage they'll go for number 4. I'm just convinced.
Well, there about Lee Conger and came out and said the other week to us, and I spoke about this with Mikey privately, and I think I've said it on a podcast. See, we were scouting Edward in that at PSG. That Mudryk, him that tortured us in Europe last season, that Mudryk, he was in the PSG youth set up at the time. And I said, I wonder if we ever had an eye on him, because he really caught my eye. I think he was a cracking player. And then Conger has come out and said that he was one of the players he identified for Celtic. There was him and another guy, I think he's at Aston Villa now or something. No, he was at Aston Villa, and then he took him out at Atalanta, Mikey's Italian team. And you're like, so everybody like that Conger was a donkey. You look at the players we signed under him, but what you're saying to us, and I've said this before, you send your scout and your head of recruitment, right? I'm looking for a right winger. You come back, as you said there, Tense, I've said this, it's a list of 5 players. Right, the one at the top's cost me £10 million and wants 50 grand a week. Nah, fuck that. Right away, that's no hard, isn't it? So you're not even doing the list, and you're always picking the 3rd or 4th choice just to kind of save money on the off chance that it clicks for you. Rather than saying, right, well, what's this boy like? You know what I mean? Like even Michael Nicholson, right, he's looking after Celtic's money. So the football department go to Nicholson and say, that's Mudryk for PSG and that, but blah blah. Right, well, ask Brendan about him. I've spoke to him about him. He really fancies him. He doesn't even. He's that good. We don't even know if we could sign him. But we might as well ask the question and see if we can sign him.
Yep.
And as you say, Terence, just that's too dear. That's too dear. Or he's 27. We'll not make any money off of him, so we're not signing him. Or we'll take him 22. He's only 12 grand a week. I will take that one. It's just absolute scattergun. There's common sense applied to it, in my opinion, if that's the right word, common sense, and they kind of planning and what the level should be, rather than just picking for each individual list. There should be we're going to try for that, either the first or second signing. That we've got to try for him if we can. We'll look at the other ones. Well, their terms bolted. Now, you just keep cutting off. I look at it anyway. That's 20 Jerry, man. You'll need to get back. You'll need to get back.
No bother. It's my internet.
Oh, you're
I'm out with the dogs anyway.
You're out there now.
Eh?
John tied you then.
I've sneaked out when she's doing the dishes. You know
I thought you still be your honeymoon loving.
No, nearly a divorce. We've not been married 2 days yet. No, I appreciate everybody's well wishes, Mark, and thanks for yourself for everything again.
No bother, mate.
Thanks everybody for listening and letting me and Mark vent all our shite. But I was just laughing at Patrick put up a thing earlier on, 1997. Dennis Bergkamp for 8 million for Inter Milan. Imagine that nowadays. £8 million, what it gets you. Frightening. That was
a lot of money back then.
Oh, yeah, 8.5. I can remember it, man. I was Italian fit by daft back then. But 8 million back then was mega now. But you look at it nowadays. I mean, I get he went for about 8 million. West Ham signed him for 8 million.
Aye.
And it gets you nada.
He was horrendous at Inter, though, wasn't he? He was having a horrendous time at Inter Milan, if I remember it right.
Aye. He never started great at Arsenal either. But what a player. What a player.
Oh, yeah.
That was Kyogo trying to do his touch today. Remember that wee dink around the boy at Newcastle? I mean, that was one of the best ever touches you'll ever see. Up there with Kyogo's assist today. But what a player. 8.5 million back in 97.
And see the thing, I can remember at the time, see one of the things about that, Ian, at the time it was I think it is still part of kind of the football and culture that the club captain gets paid the same amount of money as the highest earner.
Aye.
I went on for years. And Ian Wright, there's another Dundee signing we made. I know that Ian Wright. Do you know what I mean? he was absolutely doing handstands and cartwheels up and down the pub that he was in when he found out that he'd signed Dennis Bergkamp, because it meant he was getting an extra 30 or 40 grand a week in his wages or something like that.
Fucking hell. See, I always thought it was Shearer that started that. I didn't realise they'd done it every week. I always thought it was Shearer had started that when he went to Newcastle, that he always stood with the highest. I didn't know it was a common thing. I thought he was the kind of first one that started it, but it makes sense. Aye,
unless you're like a pure mad superstar, do you know what I mean? It's like if Celtic signed Ronaldo, do you know what I mean? You expect, well, no way Cal McGregor's getting the same money as Ronaldo.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I mean? But that kind of thing, even if Ronaldo says, I'll come and play for Celtic for a year, but I want 60 grand a week, and they were like, aye, all right, we'll give you that. They're no way knew that. Do you know what I mean? Ronaldo, the money you're making off Ronaldo signing for you and stuff like that puts into a different stratosphere. But I think in general, it is still a case of like your captain's up there with the top earners of the club, no matter where he's actually standing in the club is, kind of thing.
Yep. Right, I'm going to lose signal anyway, boys. I'm going through this wee dump, so I'll talk to you soon. All right, thanks for having us. Hail.
Right, good night, Jerry. Thanks very much for coming on again, mate.
No, but any time at all. Cheers. God bless. Bye-bye.
Good man. Good night.
Bye, Jerry.
Bye.
Hey, just wind that up to her.
Yeah, cool, Mark. Yeah.
8:45, man. Fucking talked enough shit tonight. You have, I said, no me.
Listen, as soon as you open your mouth, it's shite.
And that's even just talk to you, but we're no live on the internet.
Exactly, yeah. Poor Jack has to listen to that every day.
Hey, thanks very much for coming on, Ter. Appreciate it, bud.
No worries.
Right, I'll speak to you later on, mate. Right, good night, bud.
Yeah, good night. Take care.
Good night. Hey, thanks everybody that tuned in. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. Just us three talking a lot of nonsense. Remember, hit the subscribe button. And if you can, do you know how to please leave a comment underneath it? The links to everything, our forum, our Discord, and that's on the link tree description below. You're all more than welcome to come here and get joined in on that kind of stuff. So, hail, lads. Good night and God bless.